We must follow the evidence. We must believe in scientism. We must take science as an authority. Fine, let's do it. What about morality? Yes, in morality, we need to follow the scientists because they know, because they're all knowing, because they have all the keys of the information in the universe. They know what they're talking about. So when you have a situation like a woman who has this very delicate situation where she has a child in her stomach and she's going through this moral dilemma because she's discovered that the child actually has Down syndrome, and this unborn baby, what shall I do with it? So she turns to guidance. To who? Richard Dawkins. And he tells her, abort and try again. What a wonderful man. What a wonderful world of science that we live in. That we look up to scientists for our moral imperatives. Great, fantastic. Atheists like that. Okay, so atheists don't even mind that Richard Dawkins came up with that nonsense. However, let's see what they react to, how they react to another scientist. By the way, Richard Dawkins is a science journalist, but I interchangeably use the terms which I shouldn't really do. But a proper scientist, someone who actually publishes papers, someone who actually focuses on science, someone who's actually won the Nobel Prize. Here I'm talking about James Watson. So James, he won the Nobel Prize in the 1960s, I think, for discovering the double helix structure of DNA. So he won the prize for that, and he's known as one of the fathers of DNA. Now, him being a true Darwinian and he's a bit old, 90s, so he's a classical Darwinian. He ain't like these, these neoliberal Darwinists who are like, oh yeah, we believe in Darwinism, but we also believe in humanism. He's more like a Darwinian, if you know what I'm talking about. I hope you get the point. So anyway, James Watson, he said that he is inherently gloomy about the future of Africa, because all our social policies are based on the idea that blacks and whites are equal, but all the testing shows otherwise. And in fact, this may just look like a racist thing to say, but from his perspective, this is a scientific thing to say. And this is the same sort of idea which Darwin believed in, which Huxley believed in, which many atheists, Darwinists across the world subscribed to before World War II. What happened during World War II? Was there some sort of discovery while the war's going on? There's some sort of discovery in terms of science that, okay, now we've discovered that black people and white people are equal because we want them to fight in the war. No. None of that. It was basically this, according to Yuval Noah Harari in his book Sapiens, that after World War II, when Hitler took the idea of Darwinism to its logical conclusion and applied it, that's when scientific racism died. And it didn't die because of some scientific evidence, it died because of its consequences. In fact, before World War II, prestigious universities, scientific journals, scientists themselves, there was discussions about the race, about human races, which was clearly saying whites are superior to blacks. This is undeniable, and this is something which is inescapable if Darwinism is true. Because if general relativity applies here in Islamabad, then it applies everywhere else in the universe. You can't just say, okay, it applies everywhere in the universe, but it doesn't apply here in Islamabad. So when it comes to the human race is a part of our biological family, part of the tree of life. Every node in the tree of life is full of species, and these species are competing with each other. We have random variations, random mutations, and clearly there's differences in intelligence, anatomy, linguistics, and whatnot. So why, when it comes to the human race, would we say, oh no, we're all the same from a Darwinian perspective? No, there would be differences. And, what James Watson said is not controversial from a Darwinian point of view. So why has he been attacked and rejected and boycotted and criticized by atheists? The same atheists who look to Dawkins for moral imperatives, when it comes to James Watson, they're like ignoring him. They're saying he's wrong. Why? Why the double standards? I thought you follow science and scientists. There's clearly a discrepancy going on here. And you guys need to accept that it is part and parcel of Darwinism to be racist. He says, this idea that blacks and whites are equal, anybody that's hired black employees knows this is not true. Mr. Watson, those are not employees. But that's besides the point. Employees or slaves, the main thing is this, Mr. Watson. You are somebody who's won the Nobel Prize. You are somebody who's published in scientific journals. You are somebody, according to the atheists who tell us we need to follow science and follow scientists, you are somebody we should be following. So I would like to apologize to you on behalf of the atheist movement that they promote Richard Dawkins and they demote yourself, when both of you have a clear difference. He is a science journalist, you are a scientist, you have won the Nobel Prize, you have published in scientific journals, you are somebody that should be looked up to for moral imperatives. Atheists, please stop being inconsistent, please stop being anti-scientific, and follow your gods, follow your scientists.